So one of the biggest challenges people face when they're going through the home buying process for the first time is that they don't get the luxury of hindsight. And so a lot of times what I realize is that these first-time home buyers, they really don't know the right questions to ask. So generally what happens is, they jump online, they do a quick internet search. They come at me with questions that they're just not entirely confident asking yet because they don't really know what it means. Generally, the first question is, what's your best rate or what are your fees? But they fail to ask some of the really important questions in the process. And so what I wanted to do today is just help you guys kind of figure out how to ask these questions appropriately and what are the things that really matter in the home buying process. Now, I don't want to tell you guys that terms don't matter in the home buying process because that's absolutely crazy. Terms definitely do matter. As you guys seen in the last few years, us going from 3% rates to 7% rates make your mortgages go up exponentially. So that absolutely does matter, and I don't want to just bypass that. But for a consumer, the thing though that you need to realize is there's no way for you to get the best terms if you don't actually close on the dang mortgage. If you don't get your offer accepted, it doesn't matter if someone promised you 0% if you can't actually close on the deal. So a lot of times you need to realize the team that you're working with is gonna be responsible for your chances of getting that house. For a lot of the local realtors, they can probably attest to this. Local realtors generally like staying with local lenders. In that category of retail lending, companies like ours or Bay Equity or Fairway or Guild or any of the awesome local companies that we have. And the reason why that has relevance is when you're putting an offer on a property, that listing agent needs to be able to go back to their seller, look the seller in the eye and say, hey, I vetted this deal. I think there's a high likeliness that we're gonna close. That doesn't make the listing agent feel as confident when the lending company doesn't have a reputation of good communication, being able to process things locally. There's a big difference from an underwriter that's on a local level versus somebody in Missouri sitting in a basement. And so what I want you to realize as a first-time home buyer today is that it's important to kind of prioritize these things. In my personal opinion, the first is if I'm gonna buy a house, I want certainty that it's gonna close. It's hard to give you absolute certainty because it doesn't really exist in the home buying process, but I'm gonna do my best to try to vet out as many things as possible to get that certainty. And then next to the certainty is the terms. Those are very important, guys. I don't want to sugarcoat that the terms aren't very important, but they can't exist if you can't accomplish number one. Then after the terms, I want to know how my mortgage is going to be handled after the fact. Am I going to have someone constantly reviewing it, making sure that I'm in the right program? And am I going to have someone that does this as a career? The last thing I want is to call somebody, a month after I did my mortgage and they're no longer in the business. So these are just things that you need to think about. And unfortunately, hindsight's 2020. And as you're going through this process, we really don't have the luxury of hindsight. And so hopefully some of the things that I'm telling you guys today make you think a little bit and just do the additional homework. So anyways, you can always reach out to me for more questions.